Okay, I love Section 8 and I love partnering with people like you on my Section 8 investing deals. But whenever I get into partnerships, you guys always send me a million questions, which is good. You're vetting me. You're making sure that I can do what I can say I can do. You're really asking for proof of experience, which is great. So I wanted to address some frequently asked questions. And these are real questions that I'm answering literally in real time in email. And I was like, this is the perfect time for me to just go ahead and record it. That way I can always send it out. So here goes. This person asked, how long does it take to get set up with Section 8 as a landlord? Is this going to take months or weeks? So to get set up with Section 8 as a landlord does not happen until after you get a tenant who has a voucher. Once you complete their paperwork and submit it to Section 8, then that is when you're able to start getting set up as a landlord. Now, you can take the certification course whenever, you can take it today, but in terms of like really getting scheduled for an inspection and setting up payments and the real parts of the Section 8 certification, that is going to take between 4 to 12 weeks. And here's why. The longest wait time really is, keep in mind that Section 8 is a government organization, right? So they don't move as quickly as private companies or corporations. So one example is getting scheduled for an inspection. I've seen it backed up 2 or 3 weeks at times. So we're just waiting to get our inspection date or waiting to get, the inspectors to come out. And we literally just have to stop and wait. So I've seen that happen. Not all the time, but it does happen. And when you're working with me, obviously I have relationships with my local housing authority. So, you know. Anyway, the second thing that takes a while is deal negotiation. Remember, a lot of times we're buying turnkey. That's my preference. So that means I have to hold these sellers to the standard of what we think is turnkey, because what I think is turnkey might not be what they think is turnkey, right? So a lot of times I'm negotiating the deal, negotiating with the seller and their realtor or whomever to make sure that they have that house up to our basic minimum standard for turnkey. And that can mean I'm negotiating for them to get those repairs done, or I'm negotiating for them to give us credits back at closing so we can get it done. Many scenarios. So that can take a while. And honestly, sometimes we walk away. If they're not going to meet our standard, but they still want us to pay, the full price for it, we're going to walk away. We're in this to make money, right? So that is where I find most of the time is taken. But in terms of things that we have direct control over, like our processes, well, that moves pretty quickly because we do the same thing the same way every time with the same few crews that we rotate. So that part is like clockwork, the part that we can control. But the parts that we cannot, I always tell people just expect 4 to 12 weeks. And that's from start to finish, from prospecting, finding the property, getting it rehab, getting the inspection, getting the certifications, getting the tenant screened and placed in there, to getting the right property management company. That process can take 4 to 12 weeks. And that's a good question. The next question is, do you have some examples with pictures or videos or some renovated houses you have done to get ready for Section 8? That question is obviously yes, right? Especially in the beginning, because I was obsessed with the before and afters. I love that part of it. So I have lots of before and after pictures, and I think I already have some YouTube videos and for sure like TikToks or YouTube shorts where I'm showing a lot of the before and afters. And when you work with me too, I also see you an example of a deal analysis that I've done, and it kind of breaks down me doing a tour of a house and looking at each part of that house from the perspective of a Section 8 inspector to make sure that we're ready. So yes, I do have lots of examples, but I also will send you personalized examples when we work together so you can see exactly what I'm seeing when we're moving forward on a property. Let's see. The next question is, what does a turnkey property mean to you? And examples of condition. So again, turnkey means something different to everybody. For me, turnkey is anything at or below a basic tenant turnover, which is about $5,000, right? And that should be, the most basic things like maybe a deep clean, maybe some paint, carpets if we need to, little miscellaneous cosmetic things that I know Section 8 will pick up on. Once we start getting anything above 5,000 or really getting into like some like the big five, roofing, plumbing, HVAC, electrical foundation. Okay, now we have a problem. Now that's not turnkey anymore. And in the early phases of me making the offers on your behalf and things like that, I'm already making sure that it's going to at least begin to meet our standard for turnkey. Next question. What do you believe the average single family 3 or 4 bedroom house will cost? Approximate, it doesn't have to include closing cost or my fees or anything else, just the initial purchase price with a very light rehab if needed. So that's easy. I work in the same market forever. So in cash, if you're not using a lender for $70,000, you can very easily get a nice turnkey property that is ready to go. And that's for like a nice single family. If you're going to be using a lender, then that number moves to 100,000 because a lot of lenders won't even lend below 100K. So then that just bumps us up to 100K because we have to meet the lending requirements for it. But yeah, so $70,000 if you're going to be doing it in cash and $100,000 if you're going to be using a lender. How many houses do you believe you can get per year at that price? For me, I'll say 3 to 4 per month is reasonable because you have to remember, you don't see the back end. I showed you from that, but I'm making hundreds of offers per month. And of those hundreds of offers, maybe a couple dozen are accepted. Of those couple dozen, after we vet them and go take a look at the properties and really get our hands in there, of those couple dozen, we might be left with maybe only 10. That's how precise we have to be because remember, this is our money. Like when I owned a construction company, I used to always say, you measure twice, you cut once. And I brought that same thing into real estate investing. I am going to do all of the numbers. I'm going to check all of the boxes twice before we make that final decision to move forward. So I think 3 or 4 houses per month is a reasonable goal. And that's if you're doing it per house, right? We've had situations where we just will buy a whole portfolio. That makes it way easier. If your goal is to, scale and have as many as you possibly can, then at that point I'll start consulting with you on, okay, maybe we should buy some portfolios instead. I should have said that. I didn't say that in this response, but I probably should go ahead and write that. um, says, how many Section 8 tenants are currently on the waiting list to get a house? Basically, what is the demand? I literally just went to the Section 8 affordable housing website and they tell you how many prospects are in your exact area based on your zip code. And at the time of this recording, it was 2,570 people looking for a house that would accept their Section 8 voucher just in this particular market. Do you have some customer referrals you can recommend of people that have used you in the past? Yes, guys, it's on my social media. If you go to my Facebook page, I have all of my reviews on there. We have 50 or more on there, reviews, 5 stars. We do have our partners sign NDAs. So I can't really give their information, but I will say this. Once you become our client, we do have group meetings. And I found that a lot of times clients will start talking to each other about their experiences. A lot of times I just want to make sure that I'm not charging one person one thing and one person the other thing, but you guys do get to talk to each other and compare notes and things like that. I'm aware of that, so I don't mind it at all. But in terms of just reviews in general, what's out there, just go to my social media. There's so many, so many, so many on there. What major hurdles or obstacles am I not aware of that are going to drastically change what I believe to be the outcome for investing with you, Ashley? A trend that I see, that's a very vague question, but a trend that I see is number one, you need to get in touch with your CPA immediately. When you're going to start buying all of these houses, you really need to see the tax implications, how you can best protect yourself, and your CPA is going to be a good starting point. And I think also one thing that I've seen with people with this particular person who he really wants to buy a lot of houses all at once is you got to keep your eye on your properties or hire someone to do that. Remember, my job is to consult you on the how and to getting it done. Your property management company is going to manage the property, but they are not perfect. They make mistakes, okay? You need to keep your eyes on your property, or you can hire someone, maybe a project manager or an executive assistant or somebody who's going to be keeping their eyes on your property. That property management company also needs to be managed, in my opinion. So those are some obstacles. There's many, many more, but if I were going to say the two main ones that's going to save you money over time is going to be your CPA and making sure you're keeping your eyes on your properties, regardless of if you have a property management company or not. Now he's asking about my buyout fee. Like for instance, so I have 2 services that I offer when you partner with me. The first most popular service is people like to partner with me 50-50. So that means they bring the down payment and the closing costs, and then I take all of the risk in terms of getting the loan in my name. I do all of the rehab. I do all of the certifications, Section 8 inspections. I get the tenant in there. I do all of the screening. I set up the property management. So I put in the time. I put in my expertise, my experience, my teams, and I take all of the risk. And they just give a couple dollars. I'm not gonna say it like that because sometimes some people really do give a lot more money, but you see what I'm saying basically. So he's trying to figure out it for my other service where I do it for you. So that means you do not partner with me 50-50. So you don't have to split any profits with me. You don't have to split equity with me. I just do it for you and I give a warm send off and now you own the property with everything done for you. So in that scenario, we start at a 10K buyout. And the way that we do that, I have other videos. I wonder if I can share my screen real quick. Let me just go ahead and share my screen real quick. Hold on. I think that's the best way to illustrate what I'm saying right now. Give me a sec, y'all, to share. All right. So what I mean by that buyout is, let's look at the one highlighted here in yellow, right? So on this one, we initially were going to partner together. So we will be making about $30,000 per year net income on this property. The person then decided that they wanted to buy me out. They're like, this deal is too good. I don't really want to share it with you. I would rather just buy you out of it. So in this scenario, we charged them $10,000 to buy me out, which, think about it, I'm giving up. If we were partnering on this, I would be making $15,000 per year. That's almost $600,000 over the next 30 years that we own this property. So you're asking me to give up a lot of money. But anyway, they bought me out for $10,000. So usually if it's $30,000 or less yearly net profit, I'll just let you buy me out for $10,000, no problem. Anything above $30,000, when we get to like $31,000, at that point, I'm going to do a 50% buyout. You'll buy me out 50% of what I would have made for that year, and then you keep it and continue making money for the next 30 years on that property. But sometimes it's more. Like we had a 8-unit property that just had ridiculous cash flow. I mean, it was making so much money. And I almost didn't even want to do the buyout, but I do sign paperwork with you guys that you have the first right of refusal. So if you want to buy me out, I have to give you that opportunity. So I was like, man. But anyway, so in that instance, they too just went ahead and we negotiated down and they just paid me $40,000. And then they went on to make the $80,000 per year on that property. So it just really, I try to keep it standard, 50% of the first year net income. But, like when we have like some unicorn deals or things like that, when it gets upward, we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, then we really have to negotiate it. But you guys always get the first right of refusal. But I hope this illustrates to you, look, I love y'all. I love partnering, but I don't even give my own mom $30,000 a year for free. Why on earth would I put this whole deal together and just give it to you when I can just keep it for myself? That makes no, and you don't pay me anything. That makes no sense. Why would anybody do that? I wouldn't ever dream of doing that. So, and if you were to ask me to do that, I'm going to question your ethics. So anyway, I digress. I hope that helped to highlight what I was trying to answer in terms of what the buyout looks like. Now, once we start doing a whole bunch of properties together, and really not even a whole bunch, I believe I've seen that once we get to like property number 4 or 5, you don't really need me to be as hands-on because you already now you know the processes, you have the resources, you've gone through it with me several times already. You already know what it looks like. So you don't really need me to put the whole deal together for you. So at that point, if you still want to work with me, I only charge 2% of the purchase price. So if the purchase price is $100,000, you just pay me $2,000. And that's really just because you'll be probably, I mean, the processes are the same, but there are some unforeseen things that pop up. I mean, it is what it is. They're houses. We can't predict what they will or will not do. And in that case, I'll just come on and consult you or walk you through it or give you the right resources for it. But at that point, you really don't even need me, once I've taught you this and we've gone through it so many times. So, but I do have some partners that are like, Ashley, I don't want to learn it. I don't have time. Like, one of my favorite partners, he's a doctor and he owns several practices. He doesn't have time to come and learn what I'm doing over here in real estate when he has millions and millions of dollars, in his own practices. So for him, he has no problem just buying me out. If it's a great deal, he'll buy. Matter of fact, I don't even talk to him. I talk mostly to his manager, his assistant. And they have no problem buying me out because they don't want to learn this. They don't want to do this. They love the money that I'm making for them. They're like, girl, just take the check and keep our deals coming. I have no problem with that. But anyway, I was just trying to answer that question real quick. So those are all of the questions that that person had. I'll try to do at least one more frequently asked question video and upload that quickly because I get so many of them and I want to make sure that they're not repetitive. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to partner with you. If you're liking what you're seeing from me, at the very least, just like and subscribe. But if you're like, I really like you and I want to work with you, then let's just hop on a call. It's a demo call where I kind of get to know your goals. I see if we're aligned. And if we are, then I just give you a quick demo of what it looks like to work with me. We go into details, any questions that you may have. And as soon as you have your check ready for the down payment, I'm already ready to go. This is what I do. The pipeline is full. We're ready. So my information is in the description. It's calendly.com/Ashley Lorraine M.Ed. Schedule a time at your convenience to work with me or to meet with me. Very informal at the first meeting. But I'd love to work with you if you want to work with me. All right. So like and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss anything that I have going on here, and happy investing.